You got that right. It is time for your daily dose of Anthem News and Updates. We've got a ton to go over as we watch the Colossus shred these poor fools. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Bioware's latest comments about balance changes to the game, also some graphical updates to the console version, and an update from the head of live service about the launch of Anthem. This is brand new, so stay tuned for that. And then also some very interesting comments from Bioware as to what their focus is going to be concerning updates to the game post-launch. You know, comments about adding new Strongholds, could we see a Horde Mode, and also some definitely interesting comments about Grandmaster Level 3. So yeah, lots to go over. So welcome back, guys, to Open World Games. Let's do this. So yes, let's dive in first of all to these balance changes. You guys are probably curious about this one. So Cobra Shade says this: how will balancing be applied to concepts of double stacking certain weapons across an entire team? Double stacking buffs, etc. And Ben Irving of Bioware says this: this is a great question, but doesn't have a simple answer. We'll review case by case. We are currently okay with stacking double shields, windfall, bulwark. We are maybe okay with stacking muster point. We are not okay with a certain sniper rifle's damage, ominous smiley face. So it seems like a nerf is coming up for the Devastator sniper rifle for sure. As you guys remember, that thing could deal up to, like, I think it was over 21,000 damage on at certain points, which was crazy and a little bit unbalanced, especially considering some of the other weapon damages being given by, you know, some of these other weapons. So yeah, it looks like they're going to be nerfing that one for sure. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Alright, so let's talk about frame rate real quick. So the question was by Michael, who says this: will the frame rate be fixed on consoles? And the answer is yes, at launch, 30 frames per second. So it's going to be a solid 30 frames per second, it seems, as you know, we head into launch. So that's good news. Now let's talk about this update from you know, Bioware, the head of live service, about the launch of the game. So let's dive straight into this one. This is actually some really good news. He goes on to say this: I'm thrilled to share that our public demo weekend exceeded our expectations. Operationally, things went super smooth. Our war rooms were tranquil this weekend, which is exactly how we like them. So in terms of, you know, people getting into the servers, there were minimal problems, it seemed. So that's great to hear. And also, not a lot of people were saying that they were stuck on that infinite loading screen. So you could see that they are definitely delivering on their promises of updating the game and fixing those issues that were complained about prior. So that's good news. And then also, he goes on to say this: most importantly, your response was again overwhelmingly positive. We had more than 40 million hours of play in the game across our 2 demo weekends. That's incredible. We hope you all enjoyed this small taste of what's to come with the full game. As developers, we remain humbled by your positive response to what we've built. Thank you so much for your support. Yeah, I also really enjoyed overall the open demo, although I did have some problems during that event that took place, that storm event. So I have some actual comments from Bioware about the enemy disappearing problem in just a moment, which has been such a pain. But the blog post goes on to say this: our focus now shifts 100% to launch and beyond. Our development team is hard at work on finalizing our launch builds and beginning our countdown preparations. As I've mentioned previously, the launch version of the game has a long list of updates and improvements that were not in the demo builds. And of course, launch will be the first time our community has access to the full game with all content. There's so much more than you saw in the demo, and we can't wait for you to play it. We're also very hard at work on exciting post-launch content. You saw a small glimpse of it in the game Sunday. We'll have much more to share on that soon. Okay, so that's the wrap-up of the weekend for the demo. So overall, it seemed like it went pretty good, according to Bioware. Now, what about the bugs and the glitches, though? So the enemies disappearing was a big issue, so this was the question here. Mobs keep disappearing into thin air. One of the biggest complaints, especially out on Reddit. Nearly 900 upvotes on that one. Now, Bioware Ben replied saying this: just to confirm, this has been fixed for launch. So I am thrilled by that news, that is going to be fixed for launch. So good news there. That was basically one of my biggest problems with the demo, and if it is really fixed, I'm going to be absolutely thrilled to, not have a Titan completely disappearing in front of my eyes. All right, so this is where it gets very interesting. We're going to be talking about some Discord answers from Bioware. So they were active out on the Anthem Discord, and they had some things to say. So let's dive straight into that right now. So Pure Savagery says this: have you considered endless dungeons that are randomly generated or something along those lines? Oh my god, that would be so cool. Bioware Ben says this: yes, and it is super difficult, but I have to say, again, that would be badass. That would be something that I would absolutely love. And I did notice some randomness in this game, of course, when you are doing contracts. So I did notice that they're like in 3 parts when I played at the event. The legendary contracts were kind of randomized in how enemies spawned, which I really did enjoy. So maybe they could add that down the road to, a dungeon system or something like that. So that would be cool. All right, let's talk about Grandmaster difficulty 3. So Bioware Ben says this: so one thing I will say is that if when you move into Grandmaster difficulty combo, synergy and loadouts are going to become super important. As Grandmaster 3, if you aren't maximizing your combos, you are in big trouble. So yeah, you got to really work together as a team. I played Grandmaster 1. You have to coordinate no matter what, and you have to stick together, absolutely. And focus your fire on one enemy at a time. Remember, it's going to be like, I think it was 3,000 increase in health and shields and stuff like that when you get to Grandmaster level 3, which is absolutely madness. So I'm curious to see what is going to happen at Grandmaster level 3. It's going to be absolutely insane. I spoke to a developer about that, and he said you're going to have to be absolutely perfect in your strategy. No mess-ups whatsoever when you hit Grandmaster 3. All right, so let's talk about Horde Mode. So could we be seeing a Horde Mode down the road? So that was the question from Iron Adept, who says the game is screaming for a Horde Mode here, please. And Bioware Ben says this: it's been discussed. I think we've got some other things to check off first, though. So that is the answer. It's not like 100% priority. And my personal take is I want to see more Strongholds. And that was basically what was discussed next. So Nirisha says this: just out of curiosity, any idea of the dev schedule for adding more Strongholds ballpark-wise? Like, if you were shooting for adding another one within a few months, or potentially later, or earlier? And Bioware Ben says this: we want to add more Strongholds as soon as possible and then continue to do so. Oh, and we want to add them, and they'll be free. So yeah, all the content, that's great to hear. All the content, again, is going to be free because of those microtransactions for cosmetics. So yeah, I'm super hyped for that. I just hope that there's a lot of it. I just really, really hope that this is the one game that could really get this down right with the live service stuff for sure. But yeah, Strongholds, I think, should be the focus beyond the Horde Mode. And maybe they can even randomize them even more down the road. Alright, so let's talk about weapon reloading. So this was the question here. It says, real question, can you drastically reduce weapon reloading times? It takes so long. And Bioware Ben says this: personally, no, I can't. Can we see as a team? Yes, we can if it is seen as something that needs to be adjusted. Depends on the weapon. So yeah, with the Colossus and his autocannon and stuff like that, it takes a very long time to reload weapons. But that makes sense. That's going to make sense considering the damage output of, the Colossus. But, I didn't really have too much of a problem with weapon reload time. Let me know if you guys did, if you think that needs to be improved or reduced. Go for it. Post a comment down below. Alright, so is it going to be possible to solo play this game on the higher difficulty levels? Once you get up to the higher difficulty levels with Grandmaster 3, you're going to be getting better drops for Legendary and stuff like that. So you're going to want to play on that difficulty, especially if time is kind of, not on your side. You're working, you're going to college and stuff like that. So let's dive straight into this. So yes, this was the question from Captain Calamity in regards to Grandmaster 3. How difficult will it be for solo play doing content versus a group? Can a solo play even make attempts at all on these Grandmaster difficulties? So Bioware Ben says this: hard to say really, but I'd be shocked to see solo Grandmaster 2 or 3 people not having a very, very rough go of it. My personal opinion is I think it's going to be nearly impossible. From what I played with Grandmaster 1, that's going to be difficult soloing that experience. So I think it's going to require, no matter what, in my opinion, my personal opinion from playing the game, you're going to have a team. So, and solo players are going to have to really decide if they really want to spend the time facing off against enemies that have tons and tons of health and shields. So yeah, there's my take on it. All right, so let's talk about what we can expect from, updates from Bioware. When can we expect the next updates to happen? So, silly question, it says this, but does Bioware plan to do regular, less formal community updates like Destiny's this week at Bungie? I always found those newsletters fun. Smiley face. And Bioware Ben says this, I believe we are planning a lot of different forms of community updates in addition to our being in here and on Reddit. So, roadmaps, live streams, and all that stuff. So, sweet to hear that. Also, what about UI? So Cleveland says this, do you know if stats screen has been implemented? It was frustrating being unable to see my overall health, shields, etc. I actually found it extremely annoying when using components that alter shields and health differently. Example, Colossus equipping armor and structural reinforcement, and not seeing how they stacked as they just gave me different numbers. Very aggravating at times. So Bioware Ben does confirm, yes, we know the UI needs some love. The first phase of that will be at launch. However, I don't think that'll address the issue you outlined, but we want to make that better after launch. Being a very loot-based game, we need to be much better at getting you the information the easiest way. So yeah, it looks like they're going to be doing some changes to the user interface, making it easier to understand what's going on, especially when it comes to stacking. All right, so previously in my previous video, I mentioned that swimming has been difficult for many of you, or some of you. But let's talk about swimming in Anthem and getting around underwater. So, God says this, Gamer of Death, or Death 1 says, will the swimming areas have more lighting on the launch? Because during the demo, swimming was one of the most hardest things to do, even though I knew where to go the third time. And so the fourth, it was still kind of hard to see. Alright, so the answer is we are going to increase the light from the player to help with this. So they're going to be increasing the visibility underwater to help you get around. And there are also light sources that kind of guide your way when you are also underwater. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be making some updates with that too. Now, do you guys want switching shoulders to be a thing when you are going, well, not aim down sights, but when you are aiming your weapon? Is that something you would like to see in Anthem? So that was the question right here by Michael, if that's going to be possible. And the answer is from Ben, who says, we won't be doing this. Mentioned it a couple of times, but it's more important in a cover shooter, which Anthem is not. We want you out in the open being super heroic, so we built other things instead. I didn't even think about it when I was playing the demo. That is so weird. So I don't have any problem personally with this, but if you guys want to see it, sound off in the comments below. But there it is, the latest updates about all things Anthem. Launch is fast approaching. Can you believe we are already in February? I am so freaking hyped to get back into this game. But guys, look out for more news and updates here on Open World Games about all things Anthem. I'm also covering Cyberpunk 2077 a lot, so look out for news about that one, and hopefully Borderlands 3. But yeah, totally hyped for Anthem here going forward. Looking forward to the changes and the full launch. But guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.